Well, if you've been around for some time, you would have a very high regard for this brand, Ghanaian Times. At some time in the 90s, it was simply a fashion to buy graphic and Times, even if you cannot read. Such a great product is now undergoing some difficulties. Of course, workers say the news products are no longer sustainable. Its printing machines have been sold under controversial circumstances, as has been alleged, and also staff have not even been paid, as we understand, since December 2023. This is the very sad story for the New Times Corporation. The workers have enumerated all of these concerns in a petition sent to the National Media Commission. We can bring you excerpts of that petition to the Commission, which you see on the screens right now, pointing out a number of issues. First of all, talking about the sustainability of the new products the company has, the controversial selling of some printing machines, as has been alleged, and also selling of almost all of the vehicles supposedly belonging to the company, and the issue about leasing more than half of the corporation's property to some investors, as the reports are pointing out. But what's happening at the print media business in Ghana, and is the taste for news print shifting? Well, these are the questions that we're asking this afternoon, and joining us now is Emmanuel Oparijan, national organizer of the Private Newspaper Publishers Association of Ghana. Emmanuel, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the polls. And of course, just as I was pointing out, the Times Corporation is a very respected brand, but it appears that there are some difficulties there. Help us understand and appreciate what's happening to this brand.
Thank you very much. I think we are looking at the newspaper business or the industry together. And the challenges of Ghanaian Times are common to a lot of media houses as we speak. Basically, maybe Ghanaian Times is looking at the management level and the challenges of their management, thinking that maybe is the happiness of leadership. But if you pick the industry as a whole, I see it as a challenge to the industry where there are new challenges and new development in the industry, and therefore there's a shift of patronage to the newspaper, a decline in sales, advert is not coming because of economic situations and others. If Ghanaian Times issue has to be addressed, then I think I see it more of a governmental intervention.
I see.
For the industry. Even if the best economists is sent to Ghanaian Times to manage,
that will be a challenge.
That will be a challenge.
And in fact, I'm glad that you're pointing out that this is an industrial challenge. The newspaper industry appears to be suffering some challenges because of the advent of technological advancement and all of that. But we see some of the states, newspapers, aside Times, trying to upgrade or perhaps move on to new media and bringing on board some new policies. Is this something that others within the space should be considering at this time?
I think what has to be done in Ghanaian Times is to let them appreciate where we are now, the new trend, the digital space, subscription-based, digital subscription, others is where they have to encourage. If they don't have the equipment to do that, I believe that this is the time they should use the challenge they are facing now to transform into that sector of development where is the new way to go. Because if you pick the physical newspaper, as we call it, the sales is declined across the country. What is currently sustaining the industry is a little bit of subscription. That is physical subscription. And it's basically done by the state.
But let's look at the examples elsewhere, because you're very experienced, so you understand what happens elsewhere. Can't we adopt some of these best practices out of Ghana and just adopt them into our system so we can sustain these newspapers?
Yeah, it's now, these days, it's even common to read what is going on, the trend. That's what I said, the digital level is what is. Digital subscription is key now in the newspaper industry. And that is where a lot of the newspaper business are going. If you pick the Washington Post and others, that is what is giving them the revenue that is needed to sustain the business, not the physical one. The positive thing of newspaper is because it has that credibility. So when somebody is accessing it online, that credibility is there for you to ensure that whatever you are picking the news is authentic. And it really helps to fight this information and misinformation that we all think is a threat to us as a country. So they have to. And maybe management in Ghanaian Times, you know how some people have been there for a very long time to come. Maybe they have to appreciate the new trend and train towards it and use it.
And perhaps I'm also looking at the cost of production these days. That could be a hurdle, knowing that we're in difficult economic times. All these newspapers will equally have challenges, even printing the papers itself.
Yeah, it's very expensive to do, and we cannot do without the intervention of the state.
Right.
I saw because it's an industry we are talking about.
Right.
We are
not just one.
Not just something. And it's an industry that, at the moment, there are other demand for the news, where there are people have the options to go to the WhatsApp and the other digital platform to. So if the government refuses to see the need that newspaper is part of national development process, and whatever is published, like because in the morning, if you listen to a lot of radio stations, it becomes the raw material for discussion. So if government comes in to intervene, and the intervention is in terms of ensure that there's enough advert by our laws, the national procurement policies, it's ensuring that any government institution must advertise what you want to procure. And therefore, to do it must be done in newspapers and others.
So if I get your point now, government could discriminate positively, or perhaps ensure that anytime advertisements ought to be done, it must be in every newspaper.
They can deal with the established institutions like Primpact, where we have membership over 70.
So you deal with
sit down with them and say, okay, this year the budget for government institutions in terms of adverts is maybe 1 million Ghana cedis.
Right.
Can we cede 60% to the private sector? Then within the membership, you know how to redistribute it.
Right.
And the impact that the government is looking for, we definitely get it. We are partners of development. When COVID came, I quite remember that we were called for discussion, and we gave them our words, and we were able to ensure that our members carry out the advert for them. And at the same time, we're able to carry the information from the right source.
But Emmanuel, this is of course, another criticism we're facing as the media, that, if it comes to the money, if it comes to the revenue, you're there for it. But it's an individual venture as well. Yeah,
but what we do at the end of the day, we all help national development. We are part and parcel of development of the country, whether it's an individual or it's a state institution. We all come in to be part. When the industry is not well protected, then of course we'll begin to have infiltration of people. Say politicians have taken over the media space. People are not well paid, and therefore they are easily influenced and others. We are looking for an area where members within the industry will be well trained so they can produce what is needed towards where the country wants to go. I was just watching this climate change issue. It's an issue that when the media decided to pick it up and speak about it, we are speaking to a level where, as a country, we are all benefiting from. So I believe that government coming in to help the industry to grow, we are doing it for Ghanaians. And before our democratic, 1992 democratic institution, those in that industry, the Koku Bakons, the Kwasi Pratt, the Benepsins, and others,
a very significant.
They played key roles. So these people were industry players, and they were fighting for Ghana. So why now that very industry is left to die?
It shouldn't die.
It shouldn't.
Yeah,
it shouldn't.
Let's look at the way forward, and if there's a message from Primpact to government, especially through the Ministry of Information, because that's the sector agency that you'd have to engage on this. What would be the message? And are you willing to engage with government on this?
More than willing. More than willing. And Primpact, our position is if they see like it's a private sector that we are dealing alone, we cannot survive. Right. Government must come in. We are not asking government to come in to influence what we write or we do. But we're asking government to consider we'll be part and parcel of the national development agenda. We'll be part of, if it's education, we'll be there. If it's health, we'll be there. If it's transportation, we'll be there. Any sector of the economy that is needed to ensure that Ghanaians appreciate what we are doing for development, we are there. So government must come in to help. And Ghanaian Times issue is not only management level, it's an industry program.
I see. And we need to solve and deal with all of these issues. Any final message to those who perhaps maybe philanthropic organizations and would want to help?
Let me also appeal to
That's critical.
Yeah, let us appeal to corporate Ghana. Corporate Ghana, press release is common to us. When it comes to adverts, what they normally use as an excuse that, your paper
it's too sharp.
It's perceived to be for NDC or MPP. But they are doing that to the industry. I always stress on the industry. But they have been doing it If it's Democrats, oh, you are NDC. If it's Daily Guide, they say you are MPP. So none is benefiting from what corporate Ghana must do. So corporate Ghana, please, support us to survive. And when we survive, we will be able to help you also survive better.
Indeed. And that's all we want. Tima, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us in studio.
Thank you.
Here. But let's talk about another industry that's facing a challenge. That's the Ghana Private Road and Transport Union. They've agreed to put on hold the proposed increment in transport fares. This follows a directive coming through from the Ministry of Transport to all the general public to disregard the announcement by GPRTU on the planned increment in transport fares. The GPRTU issued a press release claiming that at the national management meeting held at the Transport Union House on the 16th of January 2024, it was resolved that transport fares be adjusted upwards by 20% across board and all loading points of the union effective the 24th of January 2024. The ministry says that there was no negotiation with these transport operators to review the fares. Speaking to Benjamin Akapo on the AM show this morning, General Secretary of GPRTU, Godfred Bombri, said members have decided to heed the directive from the ministry.
Mr. Abubire, so are you going to stick with your increase? Even if you have this conversation with the transport ministry, are you still going to push for an increment?
No, I heard that. I told you mentioned that the minister had asked put on hold on it. So definitely until you go back to them and then sit down.
No,
but
I'm saying when you go back to them, to them, that's what I mean. Will you still push for an increment?
No, the meeting will decide. But I'm happy he said that about 99.9%. I think if he had made it 100%, I would have said no. But I agree with what he said. But we'll go back to them and the meeting will decide.
All right. Gentlemen, Mr. Abubire and then...
Meanwhile, some passengers, John News engaged this morning, have been dismissing any attempt to increase transport fares. They say that the timing is wrong and will negatively affect them.
Now, drivers are about to increase prices. So, in my opinion, I think it's the poor management and increase of fares right now. And when government increase the price of fuel, it affects the drivers as well. So right now, drivers are increasing it, and it will have an effect on the youth as well, especially we the students, because most of us, we are not staying around, and we are not having hostels too.
Since they are increasing transportation, I think it might affect me financially, and also when I want to come to town, because it has been increased, I have to double my transportation fare, which will affect maybe the things I'm coming to buy.
I said this year from Madina, Kokasua, this aggravator for some saying, 20 Ghana. Member called you, Mamma, try in 20 Ghana, maybe 20 Ghana, month, you're saying. It is a particular many deal on another. Many deal, many so great.
Yeah, the transport person in there, it won't help us at all because we, the workers, we normally take car every day. And the salary too is the same. So if they increase the transport fares, at least they have to also cushion us so that we can also be compensate for that losses. Because if we are, if my salary is small and then the transport fare too is increased, it's not the best.